Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
So welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful you've chosen to put me in your earbuds today. Please do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and do leave me a review. I love reading them, and it really helps me get found by other people who need to hear what I share. I'd also love you to email me your mindset and productivity questions or topics you'd love me to cover to hello@franexcel.com, because I know a lot of you think I'm inside your heads because you tell me all the time. But if I don't know what you need, I can't give it to you. So let me know. It's okay to change your mind in business. The world will not stop. If you're just starting out and choosing your niche, it's okay to change your mind. If you've been in business a couple of years and something just isn't sitting right anymore and feels heavy, it's okay to change your mind. If you've been in business for years, but you just don't love it anymore, it's okay to change your mind. I see so many people tying themselves up in knots in all of these scenarios, and I get it. I really do. But you aren't locked in, married, signed, sealed, delivered, this is it forever into anything in your business. You're really not. The whole point of having your own business is so you have more control. You know, you get to make the decisions based on what's right for you, not what's right for someone else. There will always be consequences for your decisions, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I've been reassessing everything throughout this whole pandemic, you know, and I know a huge amount of other people have too. Sometimes you just need to burn something to the ground just a little bit in order to build something bigger and better in its place. And sometimes that's what it takes to scale up. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it could be a mistake. But if you only believe in lessons, and if you've been with me for a while, then you're covered there. You know, let's start with the most common place that I see this. You know, choosing an ideal client and a niche when you're early on in your journey. Oh my goodness. Do people tie themselves up in knots with this one? You know, myself included at the start. The message from everybody, all the gurus, is that you absolutely have to know your ideal client and niche down straight away. You need to know it on an intimate level. If you don't niche down, you don't have a business. You know, some of this is true to an extent. Having a niche and really knowing your ideal client obviously makes marketing easier. It makes self-identifying for your client that much easier. If you don't have one, you do have a business, but getting sales and traction will be a little bit harder unless you're doing personal outreach or networking strategy, which I actually think is great at the beginning. And that's exactly how I started. And that helped me hone in on my niche. But let's release the pressure valve a little bit, shall we? Firstly, in my opinion, you really don't know who your ideal client is until you've started working with people. You know, this applies mainly to the coaching industry. It's a little bit easier with products and things like that. But start with an idea of who they are, not an attachment to who they are. Do you see the difference? You know, I had an idea of who my ideal client was, got one, and it was a flipping nightmare because they weren't invested in the results. Yeah, so I tweaked it as it went along. My ideal client now is the same person that I started out wanting to help, but they're that much further along in the journey. They already knew things, so I wasn't in convince mode. There's a lot of things to think about, but it evolved as I went along, and I allowed myself the time to get clearer and niche down further as I went along. And the thing with niching too is people seem to think it means that no one else will see or resonate with your message, and it's just fundamentally not true. I think of it like a dartboard, and this is one thing that I go through with every single client that I comes to me. You know, you're aiming for the bullseye, but there are lots of other ways to score high points around the board, right? You know, for example, my niche is female business owners who self-sabotage. I still attract men to work with me. I still attract a lot of people without businesses to work with me. A lot of people come to me because they just want a really big life change. That could be starting a business. That could be anything else, So even though I talk about everything in the context of business and I have a top ranked business podcast, I still get people who don't have businesses. Do you see? Because it's relatable to both people, same issues, different context, different position on the dartboard. So don't worry about cutting certain people out. You can also have different products or services for people at different stages along the line of your ideal client. I work with people just starting out, and I work with 7-figure business owners, So what I'm saying is, firstly, you aren't married to your niche. You get to change it. Same with your ideal client. You get to change it. Yes, it may make things take a little longer than if you just cracked it first go, which, let's be honest, no one does. But rather than just end up in a niche that it turns out you don't enjoy, or working with people that are actually a bit of a nightmare, it's all part of the journey. Which would you rather? The next topic is a little bit close to my heart at the moment. When something just doesn't feel right anymore. You may not even be able to put your finger on quite why, but it just doesn't feel right anymore, and that's all you know. Businesses evolve, as do people. And this happened for me recently. I mentioned it on the last podcast about making big decisions. You can see a pattern here. I have my Proactive Pants Mastermind, and I adored the ladies that were in it. But the format just wasn't quite working for me anymore. So I made the decision to close it down in its current iteration. And instead of being ongoing month on month, it's going to be relaunching as a 3-month program starting in January, where everyone starts and finishes at the same time, which helps with relationships because everyone's in the same boat. It's doing it this way solves some of the problems that I was finding. And with the focus on something core for those 3 months that you really want to achieve for the quarter that you've been holding yourself back from, you will get it done. And now I'm so flipping excited for it because it's put that fire back in my belly. This is something that I know that I can launch Q1, 2, 3, and then Q4, I have a little something else. I already know this format. I know it works for clients. I know the content works for clients, but I needed to get it to work for me too. Do you see? That's just as important, to put me in the best place to be able to help everyone achieve exactly what they want and get the amazing results that I know they can. It has to work for me too. The same thing goes for you and your products and your clients. It has to work for you. Everything has to be built. This is why I don't like cookie cutter models, because we aren't cookie cutters. We aren't cookie cutter clones of each other. We all have different lives. We all have different priorities, different values. It has to fit around you. And I am now in the process of completely shifting up my business model, which also helped me make my decision. On that note, I've got a super exciting partner launch coming up. I've not done one before, but this is coming up around October with my friend Lisa Johnson, who you have met on the podcast before, and is coming back to tell you a little bit more about what she does to make the big bucks and still get to travel the world. And that's in an actual genuine way, not an influencer stand in front of a porch you don't own kind of way. So stay tuned if you want to learn how you can massively increase your bottom line working less. No more feast or famine of the one-on-one model. You can still do one-on-one, obviously, but adding this, more scalability, more passive and regular revenue. So you know where you're at each month. Earn more, do less. She is a freaking powerhouse, and I am really, really grateful that I get to call her my friend, because you'll know I don't recommend people freely. I've been working with Lisa's VIP clients for a long time now, but I don't recommend people largely due to the sales tactics and mass of missed out information that usually comes with courses online and leads to an 11% completion rate and money down the toilet. And I am not here for that, people. This is one of the reasons that I haven't launched my courses before. I'm not here for that. I don't want anyone spending money with me if I don't believe that they're going to get the results. It's not what I'm about. So this is going to be a genuine game changer, I promise you. I'm just so exciting. If you want to be in the know sooner, then slide on into my DMs over on the gram, and I will give you a little sneaky peek of what's coming, because you're going to have to wait, I'm afraid. So if you've been thinking of shifting your business model, if something has been sitting like it's not right, that you want to get out of feast or famine, stay tuned. If you want to fall in love with your business again, I've got you covered. If something's not working for you, please know you can change it. Go back to the previous episode and listen to how to make big decisions, because it's so fundamental to enjoy what you're doing. And that will help you. If anything has come up for you during this episode, that episode's going to help you make decisions. Yeah. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, change it. It doesn't have to be straight away. You can do it in stages and over a little bit of time, or you can outsource so you don't have to do it anymore. So it's not on you. But it's important that you do it, or you'll start to resent your business or your clients. And we don't want that, do we? And the same goes for if you've just completely fallen out of love with what you do. Nobody ever said you have to keep doing it. You can shift your business whenever you want. If something else is calling you, that's okay. I know we like to tell ourselves stories of things having to be a certain way, but that's our own limitations we're putting on ourselves. Yeah? You can't do this, you can't do that. Who says? We're the ones in control. You know, this is why you'll see with me, I do things my way. You know, I do things the way that sit right with me. There is no point otherwise. It may take a little time to work things out if you're going through all of this right now, but it can be such a positive thing to do. When you've fallen out of love with a product, service, or what you do entirely, it can feel like it's slowly eating away at your soul, like the Dementors in Harry Potter. It's not a nice place to be. And it's so common. And it's something that like people don't want to admit. It's like you have that constant state of anxiety. It's just niggling away in the background all the time. We're always operating from that low level of fight or flight. Our defense mode is up. It takes a lot of energy, right? The thoughts are whirling around in your noggin, taking up a huge amount of headspace. That makes everything feel like you're pushing water uphill. It is not meant to feel like that, and it doesn't have to. Take back that control and know that you get to change whatever you want, whenever you want, according to contract terms of anything you've got outstanding, of course. Take the brave move and let the weight lift from your shoulders if you're feeling this right now. Get support. You can get support from me, obviously one-on-one, or anybody else out there who's done what you want to do or knows how to do what you want to do, that knows how to support you through it, but do it. But if you're in the stage of worrying about picking a niche and or ideal client, launching products or anything along those lines, you get to change your mind if it doesn't sit right in the future. You are not stuck with something. Know that. You only work these things out by doing, trying. You can't think yourself into the right answer. Yeah. It's about being honest with yourself, really honest with yourself. The more you are, the more exciting things come your way, and the more you can love and actually feel aligned to what you do. And that's what it's about, right? So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, I work with people one-on-one and through my Proactive Pants Mastermind. So stop waiting for if and when and decide to change things now, because you can. And as always, I hope that was helpful. So any questions, just let me know. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye.